Hey everyone, Frankie here. Today I'm going to talk to you about why you should use Cantonese comic books and manga to improve your Cantonese. Now, once you've reached the intermediate level of Cantonese or the advanced level, you'll notice that there really aren't that many materials available to help you to continue learning Cantonese. This is because there really isn't a very large demand for people who want to learn Cantonese beyond that level. There are a couple series of textbooks available that are really good, but they're not really good. The Sydney Lau series of textbooks is very comprehensive. It's actually the best series of Cantonese textbooks on the market, but the books were published in the 1970s. So just like people nowadays don't say groovy and wipe out, they don't do that anymore. So a lot of the vocabulary is really outdated and the phrasings are outdated. So unless you have a native Cantonese speaker that's helping you go through the books and telling you what's current and what's outdated, then those books are, they might hurt you more than they help you. There are also books published by the Chinese University of Hong Kong, which are pretty good. But those books, you can only get those books if you're a student at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. So unless you're willing to pay a tuition to attend there, then those books aren't available to you either. There are also books published by Greenwood Press, but they only really deal with the intermediate level. So once you've reached the advanced level, you can't really go beyond there unless you're speaking with native speakers on a daily basis, and not everybody can do that. So that's where comic books come in. Comic books are intended for native Cantonese speakers, and they're written in Cantonese Chinese characters. So you'll learn a lot of things in comic books, a lot of colloquial expressions, a lot of slang that you wouldn't really learn in a traditional Chinese textbook. So that's why I like comic books. Now, keep in mind, again, these are intended for native Cantonese speakers, so there's no romanization system, there's no English explanations and stuff like that. So when you look at these comic books, when you look at these different manga books, then you have to understand that there are going to be characters that you don't know how to pronounce, and they're going to be characters that you don't recognize, and that's when you have to take an IME pad or a pad and write down the characters or look up the characters by the way you think that they're pronounced, or ask your friend, and then figure out what they mean and how they're pronounced, and that's how you can improve your Cantonese. Now, because this picture's there, it kind of triggers something in your brain so that you could see a sentence and not know one character, and then you can guess, well, what could that character mean by what the picture looks like? And it kind of triggers your brain to think a little bit harder than it would if it was just black and white text. You wouldn't have any idea. So that's why I like comic books. But anyway, so let's talk about something, an actual comic book. This is an actual comic book, just like you would think of in the United States when you talk about comic books. This one's called CoOp Site. It means like a gangster, like a triad. And you can see the English name here is Teddy Boy. It's in the red. Teddy Boy is a really archaic way to say, gangsters from the 1950s, but that's what this is called in English. And this comic book was adapted to a movie. They made movies based on these comic books back in like the late 90s, early 2000s with Ekin Chang and Jordan Chan. They were directed by Andrew Lau. Really big movies, super popular in Hong Kong. I actually learned a lot of Cantonese by watching those movies, which is not good. Anyway, so this comic book, as you can see, let's open it up. As soon as you open it up, there's all these different sexual advertisements. Hey guys, you want to go to this nightclub and meet these girls? I guess it's a target audience. It's targeted, teenagers. I guess they want them to, you remember those back in the day? You would call the number like, you call those numbers those sex hotlines. I guess you could say. I guess that's what those were anyway. So anyway, you can see here that there's like speech bubbles. All these speech bubbles here, they're all in Cantonese characters. So one of them is like, "Li tai ha." Hey, you take a look at this. Or like, "Bao Pei go pack hui." Like, hey, Mr. Bao Pei is a guy's name. It's like, hey, Bao Pei, chop him, chop him up. And again, all of this stuff is in Cantonese. So this only costs 14 Hong Kong dollars, which is like what, $1.80. I bought this back in 2005. They must cost more now, but for a couple dollars, this is your most inexpensive way to get some Cantonese learning material. And they're kind of funny, and you can get the sexual adverts if you're interested in that. Again, I don't know. I haven't bought one in a long time, so I don't know if they're any different now, but probably not. This one's from June 2005. Anyway, this one's this is one of your options. Another option is this one. Now, I really do recommend this one. This one's Old Master Q. Now, not all Old Master Q comics are in Cantonese. This specific series is. I'll post the name of this series in the description, but this one it tells like old stories that are related to China. This one's particularly about Mulan, like the Disney movie Mulan. Let's get down to business and defeat the Huns. Disney. And so anyway, so this one here, this is her name, Fa Mulan, and This book is interesting because it's entirely written in Cantonese, and because it's teaching like, like old old Chinese stories, it's intended for children. So because it's intended for children, the level's very low. The Cantonese they use is very basic, very easy to understand, and it's all written in Cantonese. It's entirely written in Cantonese. Most Cantonese comic books are written in a combination of Cantonese Chinese characters and standard Chinese characters, which are based off of Mandarin. This one is not. It's all Cantonese Chinese characters, so it's really, really good to get, your first Cantonese comic, your first Cantonese manga that's all exclusively in Cantonese, this guy here. But these were published, I don't even remember what year these were published. They were published a while back. I don't even think there's a year in here, to be honest with you. Yeah, there's no year in here. I think these are published like 10 years ago, published by ATV. ATV, the Hong Kong television station, they had some sort of, I guess, television series that had these stories, and these are the comic book versions of the stories that they had on the cartoons, I guess you could say. And these were 25 Hong Kong dollars originally. I don't even have that many. I only have 6. And a lot of them are like 2-parters, so there's like part 1, part 2 for each story. This one's Mulan. Then I think there's one for like the Monkey King and stuff like that. But I really do like these books. I'm going to make a book review for these later, but these books are really, really good. If you can get your hands on these Old Master Q books, then definitely do that. This is like the first step. Once you've reached, Cantonese only Chinese, then, Cantonese only Chinese characters, then this is your first step. What else do we have here? We have... Oh, here's another one. This one's another one, stepping up. We have Feelin Her Person. Feelin Her Person I did a review for before. You can click over here. Click over here. I did a review for these books. Click here. These books were released in 1992, and this is the newest one. This one was released, I think, in 2003. It's over. There's no more. They're not making these anymore. This one's volume 16. These books are like, I guess, about romance and relationships and stuff like that. So I guess these were aimed at teenage girls. Again, because it's aimed at teenagers, younger people, the Cantonese isn't going to be that difficult. So these books are definitely a first step, and you can get these online for free if you really look. They're available. You can find them. I'll post a link in my description to a webpage. It's called I Love HK Cantonese, and the first few volumes are posted there, so you can even just take a look and see what they look like. But yeah, the Cantonese in here is very standard. The interludes between each scene are in standard Chinese. So it'll be all Cantonese Chinese for the speech bubbles, and then once you go to the interludes, it's all in standard Chinese. So, but it's not really important to understand what that means. But it'll say like, on a dark, stormy night, John and Tabitha go to the peak to, talk about their life or something like that. And all that will be written in standard Chinese. But then when you see John and Tabitha, she'd be like, John at Dima, Tabitha, 你做乜嘢啊? Like, it'll be all Cantonese, so don't worry about that. But that's Feel 100%. What else do we have here? We have this one. This is another really, really, really popular series of textbooks that's available in Hong Kong. Someone's messaging me. And this one's called, I think you could say, The Road to My Stupidity. It's like I guess stupid or retarded, and then the road to, because that's how Chinese is. And this one's called, what is it? 我的低能知道, 我的低能知道. And this one is like, yeah, that's what it is, The Road to My Stupidity. And this one talks about this woman here. She's the author. Her name is Ma Zai, and it talks about her husband and her daughter or her son. I don't remember if it's a daughter or son. And just like their life. I like this comic book just like I like this one, because this one takes place in Hong Kong, has a lot of Hong Kong culture included. This one does too. Now, the reason that I think this comic book is more difficult, manga book, I never differentiate, but the reason I think this one's more difficult is because all of the characters in this book are written, by hand. See if we can get to focus here. See here, it says, "Sek jugulik honey," and then here is like, "Shall sek, eat some more." Sek jugulik, jugulik is chocolate. Eat chocolate, honey. And this one here is like, eat more. But as you can see, they're written by hand, so some people might find them more difficult to understand. It's like a doctor's handwriting. Some people write English and you can't understand what the hell they're writing. So unlike all of the other comic books I've talked about before, or the manga, those are all print. The Cantonese characters, the characters are all in print. This one isn't. So this one might be more difficult. There are 9 volumes of this one, and they range in price anywhere from like 60 to 80 Hong Kong dollars. So you can find these on yesasia.com as well. I'll put a link in the description. I haven't done a review for these yet, but I will eventually. What else do we have? We have this one here. This one here. This is, I guess his English name would be Cream Gaw. He is like the most popular cat in Hong Kong. And so this one isn't really manga, and it's not really comic, but it's more like a photo book. And and there's just different, that's his wife. And there's just different, you know, photos of him, and they have like these little captions, and the captions are all in Cantonese. See, look how cute he is. And they'll just be, you know, they'll just have like these little captions like, oh, he's like, oh, 你哋好, or like, 我好鍾意食 tuna fish, or something like, 我好鍾意食 tuna fish, or something like, I like to eat tuna fish, or something. But it's all in Cantonese, and you know, it's cute. If you like cats and you like Cantonese, you can get this book. It's only like, again, $6 or $7. You can buy this also on yesasia.com. I haven't reviewed this book yet, but I will eventually. And then, last but not least, we go back to our My Hong Kong Wife books. 我的港女老婆. So everyone knows 港女 are like Hong Kong girls. And so this book is just basically written by this guy. His name is Gutson, and his wife Kaka, and it talks about, you know, stereotypes, really specific Hong Kong stereotypes about Hong Kong girls and Hong Kong guys. Like, Hong Kong guys are like, you know, really introverted, and they like to play video games and blah blah blah, and Hong Kong girls are really needy and lazy and blah blah blah. You know, it's all, you know, it's all fake. They're just all stereotypes, but they play on, you know, they make fun of these stereotypes, and it's really funny. This particular volume is about they went on a trip to Korea, and it talks about their Korean trip, and then also there's some just random comics that aren't really related to Korea. I like this one the most because it's funny. It's really funny in comparison to the other ones. The other ones are also kind of funny. You know, this one's also funny, but I like this one more because, I don't know, just this one's just my personal favorite. This one uses a combination of standard Chinese characters and Cantonese Chinese characters. So in comparison to this one's only Cantonese Chinese. This one's a mixture. So this one would be more advanced, I would say, and this one would be less advanced. This one would be like step 1. This one would be like step 2, and then this one would be like step 3, because this one has the handwritten Chinese characters, so it's a little bit more I guess a little bit just more difficult to understand, I suppose. But anyway, those are the different comic books, and again, I'm going to summarize. Why are comic books, why is manga good for you to learn Cantonese? Well, because it uses slang, and a lot of the slang they use in these comics is not taught in traditional textbooks, so you can only learn it either through direct usage from the internet, from chatting with your friends, or from the comics. And also, the comics are going to use really standard Cantonese characters, the Cantonese characters that are the most commonly used, and also a lot of expressions and phrases that are very standard to Cantonese. In other words, they're not going to write something in there that nobody understands. They're not going to make up some new slang and put it in the book. They're going to put something that's very, very easily understood that everybody will understand. And so if you don't know what's in those books, then you're definitely missing something. It will help improve your Cantonese overall, and it will give you that you know, well-rounded feel, so that when you're speaking Cantonese, you're not speaking like, oh, pardon me, sir, would you possibly know where the train stop is? And it'd be like, yo, dog, where's the train stop? You know what I mean? Like, you can know both ways, so that way you'll understand when someone asks you, but at the same time, you don't have to use that method. The most important thing about learning a language is that you can use the slang way, the proper way, and then you can make your own way to reply to someone's question. But the most important is that you have to understand every way. Someone might say, oh, your Chinese is so good. They might say, 哇，你好叻啊！哇，你講到中文咁好嘅！哦，哇，你好勁啊！你好叻啊！我咁犀利啊！哦，你喺邊度人啊？你喺邊度學㗎？ All these different things, but you don't have to know how to say those things. You just need to understand everything. Oh, you're so smart. You're so good. You know, where'd you learn Chinese? Where are you from? And there's like 8 different ways to say where are you from. There's like 20 different ways to say you're smart. So if you don't understand what they say, then you can't reply properly. But if you understand everything, but don't know how to say those things, but you understand them, then you can reply whatever way you want. And that's the trick with learning Cantonese, or any language for that matter. So anyway, thank you for watching. If you like my video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like my video, give me a thumbs down. If you have any questions, post them in the comments below. I always answer them. Even if they're really negative, I might reply back in a negative way. But thank you for watching my video, and see you all next time. Bye-bye.